Hey, what's going on, guys? So Don't Starve Together just got another update, and this one is actually one of those patches that quietly makes a pretty noticeable difference once you start playing around with it. The first thing that stands out is the change to the mini golf ball dropper on custom courses. Now, when a round ends on a custom course, it gives back the Cawnival token. That might sound like a simple tweak, but in practice, it matters a lot because it makes custom course runs feel a lot less wasteful. Before this, there was always that little annoyance of feeling like you were putting in the time and not really getting anything back at the end. Now, there is at least a proper return, which just makes the whole loop feel a bit fairer and way less awkward. There is also a change to the putter aiming, and this one is kind of interesting because it is not just a bug fix, it is actually a gameplay adjustment. Mouse aiming loses accuracy when your cursor goes completely outside the reticule range. So basically, if you are trying to line up a shot and you move too far out of the intended aiming area, the game is not going to be as forgiving anymore. That sounds subtle, but anyone who has played these kinds of mini games knows that little aim changes can completely affect how a course feels. It should make shots a little more consistent in a way while also making sloppy aim matter more. So if you have been winging it a bit too much with your mouse, this patch is probably going to make you notice. Now for the fixes, because this is where the update really does some important cleanup. One of the bigger quality of life issues was missing mini wormhole animations on servers without caves enabled. That is the kind of thing that sounds minor until you actually see it in game and something feels off, because even when the mechanics work, missing animations can make everything feel unfinished. This patch takes care of that, so servers without caves should feel more complete and less buggy. They also corrected rotation issues with certain golf structures when courses were placed at specific orientations. This sounds super niche, but for people making custom courses, that kind of thing can turn into a real headache. You set everything up, it looks fine from one angle, then suddenly the placement behaves strangely depending on how the course is rotated. That kind of issue can make a whole build feel unreliable. So getting it fixed is a nice win for anyone who likes making courses and experimenting with layouts. Another fix deals with a client crash that happened when closing the minimap while it was opening for a map action. That is the sort of crash that just feels random and frustrating in the worst possible way, because you are not even doing something wild. You are just opening and closing UI elements, and then suddenly the game falls apart. Fixes like that matter a lot because they remove those awkward little moments where the game punishes you for normal input. There is also a fix for the wandering trader bug, where the hood would keep going up and down near a survivor using a research station. That is the kind of visual glitch that can be funny for a minute, but after a while, it just makes the world feel less polished. It is good to see that cleaned up, especially because these little animation problems can stick out way more than people expect. They also fixed a crash involving inspecting a bundling wrap, which could apparently end up releasing mimics unexpectedly. That is a pretty rough one, because anything involving a crash and unintended enemy behavior is the sort of thing players really do not want to deal with. This patch closes that loophole and makes the whole interaction much safer. There was also a soft lock affecting one version of the standard mini golf course, and that is exactly the kind of issue that can ruin a run out of nowhere. Soft locks are always frustrating because they just stop the fun cold. You're in the middle of something, everything seems fine, and then suddenly you are stuck with no clean way out. Fixing that is a big deal for anybody spending time on that mode. And last, they fixed a crash that could happen when launching other Carnival games instead of mini golf. That one is especially nice because it sounds like the kind of bug that would confuse players immediately. You pick one thing, the game gives you something else, and then on top of that, it crashes. Not exactly the kind of surprise anyone wants. With that sorted out, the Carnival side of the update should feel a lot smoother overall. So yeah, this update is not about bringing in a massive new system or some giant new boss fight. It is more about making the whole experience cleaner, steadier, and a lot less annoying in the places where players were running into trouble. Between the token refund, the aiming adjustment, and all the crash fixes, this is the kind of patch that quietly improves the game in a bunch of different spots at once. And sometimes that is exactly the kind of update people end up appreciating the most because it lets everything just work the way it should without getting in the way.